Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 237. With us tonight, we only have Tim. Well, only have Tim. I'm sure we'll get through them all, but for various reasons, so far, there's only two of us. All right, Tim is a conversion rate optimization specialist. He's proud to call himself an SEO. He's based in Corby, about 100 miles north of London, and he's a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community. First question tonight is regarding backlinks. It was asked by Rostislav Chernikovsky. It's titled Backlinks to an Irrelevant Page. Rostislav said, "Hi everyone, we've got a little business website. It was not ranked very well, but it was okay. On our website, we have a page where we send some jQuery plugins, where we sell some jQuery plugins developed by us. This page is not listed in menus. It's a separate page located on our main domain." He gives an address, www.mysite.com/plugin.html. Several months ago, our main site disappeared from Google search on all relevant keywords. Our pages still can be found with a site operator query, site://www.mysite.com. He said, "Now I have realized what may have caused the problem. We've got about 500 backlinks to our main domain, but there is a URL of a plugin page in a comment in JS code, in the JavaScript code of the plugin. Someone has installed our plugin on a big online shop, and we've got about 35,000 backlinks to the plugin page, I think. Now Google thinks everything else is irrelevant on our page. Can it really be a problem? What can we do to rectify this? I've tried to remove the plugin backlinks with disavow, but in about 2 weeks, only several hundred from 35,000 backlinks disappear. It can take years for all backlinks to disappear with such speed. So once again, questions. 1, can so many backlinks to an irrelevant page make Google think this page is the main one? Or maybe Google has applied some kind of ban? And 2, what can be done?"
Okay, so we've got a couple of different issues there. But first off, I'd like to kind of know on this, the link coming from the plugin. Ideally, if you've created a plugin which people can use, whether it be a widget, a plugin, or anything like that, and it creates a link back to the plugin page, that link should be no-followed. So you should be able to, I'm assuming that plugin updates, or you can update that plugin. So my advice there, firstly, would be to make sure that a rel no-follow is applied to the link coming from the plugin whichever site it's installed on. In that way, then you don't need to worry about going along and disavowing. I mean, essentially, I wouldn't be disavowing, because essentially you're then saying to Google that those links from that site, you know, that's you know, not a site that you have control of, firstly, but it's also a bad neighborhood that you don't want to be associated with. But on the flip side of it, they're using your plugin. So, you know, in one sense, you're saying, yeah, you know, disavow these because it's from a bad neighborhood. We, you know, or we believe them to be unnatural, but it's from your plugin. It's a little bit weird. You're kind of, do you know what I mean? You're disavowing. So yeah, I mean, my first way I would look at that is, if you obviously you control, you know, you've built the plugin, look at the way you back to that you know, the developer page, the plugin developer page, and see if you can add a, or you should actually add a rel nofollow onto that. But you know, disavowing, I would probably say hold off on that, because you're disavowing links coming from a site that's using your plugin. So essentially, it could have, that may or may not have a negative effect on you anyway. Yeah, so I would certainly try and get a control of that. No, I don't believe, so one part of your question is no, I don't believe that if you've got tons of links going to a singular page that's in your site, would detract from the rest of the site's pages. The reason being is that tons and tons of sites out there have the main site itself, and then they have a tools section, and within the tools section, you know, you get tools available which hundreds and thousands of people use and link to, and often, in more cases, sometimes they are linked to in greater numbers than the actual main site itself. So I don't believe that would be an issue. It depends on how close your main site, but yeah, I mean, I don't think you're having what am I trying to say? I don't think unless you have a very similar the plugin page, that Google may think, okay, well, this one is probably the one I should show over the one that's actually in your site. But no, Google will still think that this is your main domain, and this is obviously, if someone searches for it, this is what they're going to return, whereas they understand what's an internal page. So no, that won't hurt. If it's, you know, you may be looking at it from a set that you think that these links coming in has caused the rest of the site to drop. One way you can check on that would be to, I'm assuming you've checked Search Console, check the penalty section, and see if anything's been applied. That will be in, oh, where is it again? Oh yes, so that's in your Search Console. That's under Search Traffic, and it'll say Manual Actions. Have a quick look in there, if any manual actions. But of course, you say it's you know, it's still, pages are still indexed. So yeah, those are a couple of possibilities to start looking at, but I would certainly look at your plugin and how it links back to your site, and obviously you have control over that, and see if you can add rel nofollow into the plugin widget that is going to be linking back to your site.
Cool, Tim. Can't top that. I won't even try. All right. Let's move on to the next. Rostislav, I hope that's been helpful to you. And this question is from Sarang Suryawanshi Sarang asks a question titled, Google is sending a fixed number of visitors to my website every day. He goes on to say, hi everyone, I'm going through a strange phase on my WordPress website. It's been over a year that I've been posting on my website. The strange thing is that Google is sending a fixed number of visitors to my website every day. My AdSense revenue, however, has been increasing despite the same number of views. Whenever I share a post in Facebook groups or on Google Plus communities or socially, etc., the views on the post increase, but on checking the number of views for the day overall is the same or even less. Please tell me what to do. I write unique quality content with no plagiarism. So does Facebook traffic decrease visits coming from Google search? Also, how do I increase the reach? My website seems stuck at a fixed number of views per day.
Right. Okay. So no, Facebook's not going to detract anything from Google search. So the situation is, what are you actually writing about? So, for example, let's say your article is about, I don't know, information security analysis marketing. Okay. So essentially that is, firstly, that's your article title, and that's kind of the context of where Google's going to return that particular article in the search results. But it's worth having a look kind of actual traffic there is. You know, are all your articles around one kind of niche area where actually there is only a limited amount of people searching? So you may be, for example, your articles may be appearing very well. There's limited traffic there. Hence, a certain amount of searches a day, visits a day, and things like that. So one way you can do that without obviously looking at kind of any other SEO, like sort of SEO tools out there which would track your positions. A quick way to give you a kind of an idea would be to make sure that your site is linked to Google Search Console. And once it's linked, and it probably take a couple of days to populate, but there's a section in there called Search Analytics. And what you can do is you can either check by pages, or you can also see how Google is seeing your site, what kind of terms or queries it feels you are relevant for, and it gives you a rough position. Now, I say a rough position because unless you filter it down by a particular country, so they're not the exact position, but it will give you an idea of impressions. So an impression would be where Google displayed your site for someone creating a search query. And if they are very low, that could mean that actually, you know, these are actual visitors that are on a monthly or daily basis. So without actually knowing what's kind of going on and what the potential traffic there is, you know, it's a little bit difficult. But no, Facebook doesn't decrease any visits from Google. You know, keep promoting your site and your content in Facebook, you know, in Google Plus or LinkedIn or Twitter, depending on which, you know, on where you feel your market spends the most of time. That won't detract from anything. Yes, it could certainly help you get your word out about your site. And you know, I would also look at potentially just checking how you're actually publishing, or what kind of structure you're publishing, you know, your articles. Are they indexed very well? Come up number 1 or 2? Are they in fairly competitive markets? Is it appearing well? And then also double check on your impressions. So those are the couple of areas I would look at, but certainly no, keep promoting it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, Google Plus, whichever is your, you know, you feel your best market. And then I would look at actually trying to understand where the traffic is, because what you're writing about may not actually have a lot of traffic, and that could be the reason you're just at a kind of fixed, steady rate. So that's like sort of your first place to start.
Brilliant, Tim. Brilliant. All right, Sarang, I hope you find that useful to you. I've tweeted that already. What am I trying to do? Click this button here. Okay. Another one, Tim. Jenny asked a question on how to get more quality backlinks. She asked this question on the SEO Questions community on Google+. She said, anyone please help me, and you are just the man.
Okay, so Jane, firstly, I wouldn't over obsess in terms of backlinks. Now, okay, so, you know, are you an online only business? What are you competing in? Are you a local specific business? There's, you know, it's quite difficult to pinpoint with such, you know, with very little information. Okay, so look, you can't, you know, forget about this. I'm going to go out and build backlinks. Links, if you think about this, links are, let's say, earned because someone out there feels that a particular page on your site, they want to mention it to either their, you know, to readers or in a context in terms of something that they've written on their website. Okay, so how do you get someone to actually mention? And again, I don't know whether you're a little local business, whether you're talking products, you know, I don't, it's, you know, I don't know yet. But essentially, you need to provide something that, how's someone going to link to you? You've either provided a really great local service, you've either provided a really brilliant, in-depth, knowledgeable article on a particular subject or, you know, a field that people find it and cite you or link to that article as the original. You either provide a tool on your site that people find useful and want to share that with other people. You are potentially providing one of the best, I don't know, videos, cat videos ever, and people want to link to it. So what I'm trying to say is you're providing something that people find interesting enough to want to actually mention you or link to you. Now, if you're a local business, and let's say you're an accountant, which is pretty boring, how do you get someone to link to you? Well, in the terms of local business, we don't generally need you don't generally need tons and tons of links because you're competing in a local area, and your locality is the main actual factor that the site can be, you know, indexed well and is, you know, is properly structured. But you're competing in a local area and you're not going to need to go out, you know, you're not competing against I don't know, for example, the Financial Times, where you need to have your article on accounting right next to their, their financial in that effect. So in that sense, for a local business, you would look at local citations or business directories. Depending on your country, like for example, in the UK, there is really only kind of, the top 50, and that's about it. There's a lot of other ones, that you don't want to go into these crappy directories called free SEO directory. The normal proper ones, Yellow Pages, and then there may be even more niche specific local ones, and depending on what you are, so there may actually be a county-wide directory if you're in the UK, or state-wide if you're in the States, specific just to accountants, only an accountants. You may want to pop yourself in that. And also just see what's about locally, see if you can create any, see if you can, you've got your, what's it called in the States? You've got the Better Business Bureau. Like in the UK, we have Chamber of Commerce. You've also had that in the States, so you've got your Chamber of Commerce. So, those kind of better areas where you can list your business. And there are still opportunities for boring areas, as in an accountant, to create interesting content on your site. So for example, you may want to publish any updates to local tax laws that are applicable to your state or county. You may want to just do an update on what people need to remember when they're coming to filing their tax return, any new changes, so you may not be bashing out content, but you're going to, one or two pieces every now and again, but good quality and relevant to the local area, which people will pick up. And of course, you promote it socially on your social channels, etc. Now, that's kind of in the nutshell for a local business. If you are looking at, let's say, a larger online site that you want to compete countrywide with, then you need to start getting creative. You need to either start looking at some really good content. And when I say good content, it doesn't, and when I say content, it doesn't need to be like, oh, it has to be like 1,000 words. It could be a really great image with a couple of words, or something or other that, socially, because something happened and someone drew something and someone took a picture and it was bloody hilarious, and you could, push that out socially. Or you may have a product update or a product release on a new product that you've created, and you're creating a little bit of a marketing campaign around that. So there are literally, your question is so open-ended. It all depends on the market. It depends on what you can do. But ultimately, if you think about this, why would someone want to link to you? Essentially, you need to be providing something of value somewhere, somehow. Whether you approach your local newspaper because you're going to give a weekly thing on accounting tips, or a monthly thing on accounting tips, whereby they publish it on their site and then they provide a link back to you as many thanks to, Jane Jenny Accountants in such and such. Or value on your site where someone comes across it and then either mentions it to other people socially, or someone picks up on it and then actually links back to your site. So the whole crux of it is trying to find that usefulness that you provide as a business or a service to the online world. Yeah, so think about it that way. You need to, and it's a little bit difficult because sometimes you get sort of a little bit mind numb to it, but you need to start thinking in terms of what can I provide to the users on the site that is of use to them. They may not link back to you. If it's something that's of benefit to other people and the wider audiences, they generally do link to you. And you're not going to be building things up on a monthly or weekly basis. You know, it all depends. You create a little tool, you spend a bit of time marketing it. Some person likes it, some person likes it, some person thanks, and you're getting great use out of it on a daily basis. But you're not getting backlinks. Well, what's the problem there? You know, you found a little niche, you're getting some great traffic out of something, but you may not have the links. It doesn't, you know, links aren't necessarily always the answer, but it depends on your business. So hopefully I've given you some kind of idea to your open-ended question, but if you want to come back to us during the week and just give us a little bit more info in terms of what you are, what you offer. Am I local? Am I national? What is it that you do? Something like that, just to give us a little bit more so we can kind of, you know, maybe give you some more solid ideas.
Fantastic, Tim. You're on fire today, mate. Okay, let's move on to the next. Jane, Jenny, I'm sure that's helpful. And as Tim said, feel free to come back and pad out your question, and next week we can maybe Tim can give you an even better answer. All right, let's go to the next, and this one from Neil Cheeseman. He said, is the cached URL the one used by Google for the search engine results pages? To say a dumb SEO question, is the cached URL the one used by Google for the SERPS? Or is there, or could there be another version of the URL that is used in the live index?
As far as I'm aware, your cached URL is the index version of that page, and that is the one that appears in the search, in the SERPs.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, yes, I think you're right there, Tim. There's not much more that can be put to that, is there? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, find, you know, kind of some in obviously in the SERPs, when you hover next to the little URL, you normally get a little box and you can check the cached version, obviously the cached and indexed version. And sometimes they don't match because you may have updated a page and it hasn't been revisited again, but you know, that's another story. But yeah, you know, your cached URL is generally the one that is displayed in the SERPs.
Okay. All right, let's call that an answer for Neil Cheeseman. I'll just tweet that. Oh, I've already done it. All right, so we're powering through these. We've got 5 done so far of 10. Micah Fisher-Kirshner asks a question. He wants to know if there's anybody seeing Google rewriting a search snippet by pulling from the page content, even when the phrase is in the meta description. Do you want to cover that one, Tim?
I haven't, or if I have seen it, I haven't particularly noticed it. So.
Yep. Okay. Jenny Halaz. Who else? Arsen Rabinovich. Ammon Johns. What did you say, Ammon? That word's too big for me. All right. Let's call that an answer. And we'll go to the next. All right, this one from Gregorian. Actually, it's not really. This is one that we can't really answer because Gregor is asking why can anyone figure out my website won't load with the www. Tim, I can save you the trouble. He has a 301 redirect on www back to the root directory, and so that's the answer to that question. Will we move on to the next one, Tim? Yep. Okay. Let me tweet that. And we're off to number 7. One right up your alley. This one is on deleting a Google Places listing from Aubrey Thompson. Now, Aubrey said, "Good morning, everyone. Question. I work for an e-commerce company. We do not have a physical location, but I guess we had a Google Places listing that my supervisor wants to delete. Would it hurt rankings if a strictly e-commerce site deleted their Google Places listing?"
No, so it's not going to really do anything, but it may or may not have an effect on local searches. So, I mean, if you're a nationwide kind of, obviously e-commerce site, and only 1% of your traffic comes from actual local physical searches within the area that your head office is, or where your office is that you operate from, then in effect, you know, it may impact maybe 1%, depending on what that percentage is. But on the flip side of this, if you're only e-commerce, you don't actually qualify for, as you realized, for a Google business page, and in fact it's against guidelines. There may be a couple of things here. Without seeing the local listing, I don't know if you've got any URLs or any reviews, or if it's verified. You didn't kind of stipulate that. So let's just assume for the minute that it is verified and that you have access to the account, and you log into your dashboard and you go and delete it. Now, if you don't have any reviews and there are just a handful of citations out there with the name of your business and your address listed, then in theory it will be removed off maps, right? However, if you have some reviews on there already, and you and you have a couple of citations out there, I have seen, for instance, that it then becomes unverified, but it still remains in maps. This is because people have obviously reviewed it, and Google thinks, oh, okay, you know, this is a business that we need to still display. If that is the case, once you've deleted it and it still remains in maps, and I'm saying, you know, up to, so 12 to 24 hours later, it won't disappear instantly. 12, 24 hours later, you go and search it, and it is still appearing within maps, but now it's unverified, then you should contact Google Business Support and just let them know that this is an e-com site and it's not eligible for a business page and cannot be removed. If you don't have any luck with them, because occasionally you do get through to some operators that aren't specifically helpful, you can either come back here and then I can push it up or escalate it up through to Google Support for them to remove, as it's not eligible. So yeah, look, those are your options. Just to recap, if you're, you know, you just log in and delete it. It's not a problem. But in terms of impact, you know, you'll need to just look at you'll need to look at your obviously your local specific traffic that comes from your local specific area, because that's where you would be appearing, or it would be of benefit to you, because a business listing is only on locality. So it's not going to be appearing for someone who's searching in New York when you're based in San Diego.
Excellent, Tim. All right, let's move to the next. Another one from Neil Cheeseman on Google, or it's titled Google Stacking. He said, does Google Stacking work in terms of helping with ranking in search engine results pages? It's an odd question, because I think what he means is it's domain crowding, and it doesn't need to help, because if it's manifested, it means that the domain has many listings there. And anyway, in brackets, he said, I must be honest in that I hadn't heard of this expression until a few days ago.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure of what it is. So, I mean, I have an idea, but I'm obviously not going to, until I'm sure of it, I don't want to say anything.
Fair enough, Tim. There was a bit of a discussion on the Facebook group, the WSEO Questions Facebook group, and he did expand on that. We were talking about the issue where quite often a single results page well, actually, is there a single results page anymore with 10 answers on it? I'm not sure, but anyway.
Hang on. Okay. So what's he actually? Does he mean that you've got more pages appearing from the same domain? You know,
yes.
Out of the first position, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't particularly say it's a tactic. You could do, because I mean, it depends on how those are together in terms of content. But yeah, I mean, you can certainly. I would say it's more of an unintended consequence sometimes. I wouldn't say it's an actual thing that I would go out and attempt to do. But invariably, you always have overlaps in insights. So, for example, one of our resorts, obviously, you've got the accommodation page, and within the accommodation page, you obviously have a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, and a 4-bedroom villa. Now, they're all going to have villas in there, and they're all specifically on. But the 1-bedroom and the 2-bedroom aren't actually on the beach; they are beach views. But the 3 and the 4 are beachfront; they're actually on the beach. So when you search a specific area, beachfront villas, it does actually display the 3 and the 4, because they are both relevant to the search query, but it's still the same domain. So it'll take position 1 and 2, and sometimes Googlebot actually, displays only 1, but then it displays the top line accommodation page as well, because that also on it includes, just normal content about, check out our suites and blah blah and the villas. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's an actual tactic that I would go for, but I would say it's just Googlebot understanding what your pages are, and in certain instances, it actually returns two or three pages because it feels that they are, you know, they fit the criteria. But then, of course, you also see some of these results where you look at, you know, pages and like doesn't make sense why they're actually in there, because they just bear no reasoning to the actual search query. So sometimes I'll think it's a cock up, and other times I think it's just, you know, yeah, it's a legitimate result. But there are other ways of, you know, not necessarily domain, you know, crowding on a search result, but and I've done a blog on this, but you know, ideally what you want to be aiming for is AdWords, an AdWords list, boom, appearing. You want to be appearing position 1. So, and I'm sorry, I'm talking for a local business. So first, you know, for the query, you've got an AdWords result. Then you have the search pack, the local pack, boom, your business page appearing. Then position 1, you want your client to be appearing. Then, depending on the search query, if it displays an image, you want 1 or 2 of those image slots displayed from your client. And you see, so even if it's not from the site, you still have multiple opportunities to actually crowd out a search query from a site in various different ways.
Yeah, fair enough, Tim. My earpiece, I must invest in a new headset, but it just failed again. Okay, let's move to the next. Sujit Das asked a question titled "Calling Googlebot to Crawl." He said, "I've updated content on all pages. What is the best way to crawl the whole website again by Googlebot?"
So you've just updated. So essentially, hopefully, you have got your sitemap submitted with Google Search Console connected to your site. So of course, the URLs that you changed or 301 redirected, blah blah blah, have come out of the sitemap, and you know, you've probably got the new URLs which are in there. So obviously just resubmit the sitemap. You could also, if you really wanted to, take you know, your 3 or 4 top categories that may or may not have changed, and do a fetch in your Google Search Console. And then when it populates, you can say, you know, index and follow all pages. You can only do 10 of these a month. So essentially, I would make sure your sitemap is, your new sitemap is with Google Search Console. And then if you really want to just take 3 or 4 of your top line categories in your or landing pages within your site and submit those, because ultimately you're going to submit it and then say it's links, and that will, you know, Googlebot will crawl that page, that category page, top line page, and associated pages with it on that, and generally that will be enough to really get Googlebot to start through. So sitemap, fetch and renders on your top line nav should be more than enough for Googlebot to start hitting your site big time.
Oh, sorry, I was muted again. Excellent. Thank you, Tim. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Oh, this was interesting. I hadn't seen this before, but I looked it up after Neil posted it. He said the question's titled "Rel, no opener, no referrer. Can anyone advise what the following is for? I've seen it appear recently in WordPress posts. This," he said, "target blank, rel, no opener, no referrer." Cool. I can contribute something. Okay, so the deal is that this is really only applies on the section of your site that accepts user-generated content. So, say a comment on a comment panel on the site, or something that a malicious user could attack. So, target blank, as I'm sure you know, target blank means open me in a new tab, or open me in a new window, but which generally defaults to a new tab. But that allows a malicious person to craft a query in such a way as the new window might be switched on the way through to being redirected to a malicious page, and the unsuspecting user could have their computer attacked by this code. So the cure is, when you're writing code to accept user-generated content, is to use this new rel, no opener, no referrer tag whenever you use target blank. So, see, I had something to do after all. There was a need for me to be here anyway, Tim. All right. I think when I click this button, we're going to see the thank you for watching page. No, we have another one. Excellent. Matthew CZOK Zoc, Matthew Zoc said, or gave us a question. It has a title, I want to be on the first page. Who doesn't, mate? Anyway, he said, I'm trying to rank for the keyword signage Manchester. I rank top when you search signage in the Manchester location, but I'm on like the second page for the keyword I want. Why is this happening?
So if I'm interpreting this correctly, so signage Manchester, in the search results, you're appearing where? Somewhere decent, like, I don't know, 1 through, let's say. But when you go into, I'm assuming, the local pack, maps, and you search signage in the Manchester area, you're saying you're not coming up till position 2. If this is what you're trying to say, because I'm just trying to, I'm obviously guessing what you're trying to say. So if this is a situation, there's 2 different things here. So you've got 2 different algorithms working here. You've got obviously your main Google algo, which is your search results itself, where you're appearing for signage Manchester. But when you're going into your local results, i.e. as in the maps, should we say, or the local pack, and you're searching within the Manchester area, but signage, and you're not necessarily appearing within the actual businesses in the Manchester area, well, then we have an understanding of kind of who you are or where you are as a business. Because the way search results works is Google figures out, okay, who's got signage on their website, who's got Manchester on their website, and essentially where you're located, and then it goes and it's granular, and it figures out, okay, this is the guy who's ranking well, or we believe should appear in Manchester. Maps is slightly more different, or the local search results, because it really does depend also appearing in that based upon if you're in or where you are in the Manchester area. So you've probably noticed that if you've searched signage and you're in obviously the Manchester on the maps, you'll notice that there's clusters, and what we call a cluster, where Googlebot has kind of selected its own cluster on where it feels Manchester is and which ones are the most relevant businesses. And then they kind of display them. So there's a couple of factors there. So proximity, are you actually in Manchester, or are you out of, are you slightly out? Are you listed in, do you have a fair amount of business citations listing your business name together with your address and a link to your site? Have you got any structured data markup on your site that actually stipulates your address into the local business markup, as well as a has map? Are you telling Google actually where you are, or is it easy to figure out from your site? Do you have your head office address or the business address in your footer? Does it link through to your Google business page? Things like that. Just sending the right signals, and are there enough signals externally for Googlebot to figure out that you are actually really in Manchester? Or you may be slightly out of Manchester, but hey, I'm a good fit because we've got some great reviews, people have mentioned us online quite a few times, and therefore I might be out of the actual centroid, but I'm still a very good fit. The other possibility that you're looking at here, and there's a slight possibility that you're kind of within what we call a POSSUM or an authority filter, and that would be that, for example, you may be in a building which has writers in there, or you may be in a unit where there's other sign writers in that particular area, and Googlebot has just essentially filtered the other two guys out, or you out, and just decided on the other one, which is that would be another thing to completely different thing to look at, but that is a possibility. And the other one is you literally, you don't have any reviews on your business page, there's no citations out there to do with your business, and it's not, the signals aren't being sent correctly from your site, which is ranking well organically, but not in the local pack or local search. So you may need to configure your site to send those local signals to Anabot, which is the local Googlebot itself. So yeah, there's a couple of possibilities that could be the issue for you to look at.
Excellent, Tim. Thank you very much. Okay, yeah, I thought we had 10 questions. I wonder if we had 12. Maybe I got that wrong. Anyway, I'll tweet. I want to be on the first page. It's a worthy aspiration, Tim. Okay, it must be 12, not 10. I'm choosing a domain name. Usman Ghani gives us a list of sites he intends to buy off Flipper, according to the comments in the post, which follows on the Facebook group called Dumb SEO Questions. Usman said, "Hi all, for my new site, which is camping and hiking reviews for backpacks, tents and sleeping bags, Which of the below domains would you like to suggest to me? I won't read them all out because you can see them on the Facebook group. Given that question the other day showed that Gregorian's site, which had a few technical issues, was still ranking #1 for Long Island Webmaster, and given that the name of the domain is longislandwebmaster.com, what are your thoughts on exact match domains and choosing a domain name for your business, Tim?
So, you know, there was a specific algo for exact match domains where you could literally take a brand new site, exact match domain, chuck a bit of content onto it, and it would do pretty well for the exact match domain. Ultimately, it all depends what you're trying to do with the site. I don't believe it's, you know, an exact match domain on a brand new site is going to particularly benefit you. It will have, I know, it will still have a slight benefit, but you still need to have a decent site built around it. My name, my site is Online Ownership because it's got nothing to do with, it doesn't have local SEO in the, you know, or SEO in the domain name, but I'm building a brand, or ultimately that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a brand and a business that people recognize for local SEO. And who do you go to? Online Ownership. And essentially, you know, I rank pretty well. And my domain doesn't have anything to do with, you know, it hasn't got SEO in or anything like that. So, you know, there's two trains of thoughts. You're trying to do a site which is for camping and hiking reviews. So essentially, I'm going to take a wild guess here that you may be doing a bit of affiliate marketing for other camping stuff as well as some AdSense. That's, I mean, if you're not selling the product, well then you're either doing a bit of affiliate marketing or, you know, AdSense. So in that case, you're not really generally building a brand. You're not building a business to last. So I would pick something that's, you know, that's got a little bit of an EMD, certainly camping in it. And then the rest is up to you. I think campinggreatoutdoor.com way too long. Camping gear review. I don't like a .net. So camping lane or camping, or, you know, right camping. What, you know, is camping reviews or review your camping or something like that, or camping your review, or, you know, try and get something with camping and a review in it, because I'm assuming that's what people are going to be searching for, reviews on kind of camping stuff or whatever. But break your site, the domain name, in terms of getting an EMD or partial. But you want AdSense and stuff, I would certainly look at one of them with camping in. Yeah, that's, yeah, I'm not.
Fair enough, Tim. Fantastic, actually. All right, let's tweet that. And Usman, I hope you find that useful. And also, it's thank you for watching time. We thank you for your interest. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But for now,